The massive space station turned slowly against the black sky, its metal walls catching light from two distant suns. Inside the great meeting hall, creatures from across the galaxy sat in their assigned seats. Some had 4 arms, others had tentacles that moved like water. A few looked almost like large insects, while others glowed with soft blue light. Ambassador Zixthara raised one of her 6 arms to call for quiet. Her skin was purple and smooth, and when she spoke, small lights blinked along her neck. The universal translator made her words clear to everyone in the room. "Today we discuss trade routes through the Outer Rim," she said. "The Velanite Empire requests safe passage for cargo ships carrying rare metals." The meeting was like hundreds of others. Different species argued about who could fly where, who owned which planets, and how much they should pay for fuel. It was boring work, but it kept peace in the galaxy. Then the alarm started ringing. Red lights flashed throughout the station. A voice spoke over the communication system. "Unknown vessel approaching. Repeat. Unknown vessel approaching." The delegates looked around the room with confusion. No ships were supposed to arrive today. The station's security chief, a tall gray creature named Vorthak, walked quickly to his control panel. "Show us the ship," Ambassador Zixthara ordered. A large screen dropped from the ceiling. On it, they could see a small spacecraft that looked like it was built from spare parts. Metal plates of different colors covered its hull. Thick cables ran along the outside, held in place with what looked like tape. One wing appeared to be bent and scorch marks covered the engine area. "That thing can fly?" asked Delegate Corex, his 4 eyes blinking in surprise. The ship sent a message. "Hello out there. This is the Lucky Break. We are Jake Miller and Lisa Adams from Earth. We would like to talk to someone in charge, please." The delegates stared at the screen. None of them had heard of Earth before. The ship looked like it might fall apart at any moment, but somehow it had traveled through space to reach them. "Earth is not in our database," Security Chief Vorthak reported. "Neither are these creatures called humans." Ambassador Zixthara considered the situation. New species discovered space travel all the time. Most were primitive and needed guidance. The Galactic Council had rules for dealing with such situations. "Let them dock," she decided. "We will follow first contact procedures." 20 minutes later, the airlock doors opened. 2 figures stepped into the station wearing simple white suits that looked homemade. They removed their helmets to reveal pale faces with small eyes and strange flat features. Neither had tentacles, extra arms, or any of the usual features that marked advanced species. The male was tall and thin with brown hair. He looked around the great meeting hall with wide eyes, clearly amazed by what he saw. The female was shorter with yellow hair tied back. She carried a small bag and smiled at the assembled delegates. "Wow," Jake Miller said, his voice carrying through the translator. "This place is incredible. Lisa, are you seeing this?" "I'm seeing it, but I'm not believing it," Lisa Adams replied. She pointed at Delegate Morph, whose body changed colors as they watched. That one just turned from green to blue. The delegates found their reaction amusing. Most new species were either terrified or tried to act important when they first arrived. These humans seemed genuinely excited, like children seeing something wonderful. Ambassador Zixthara stood and spread 4 of her arms in the traditional greeting. "Welcome to Harmony Prime, representatives of Earth. I am Ambassador Zixthara of the Velanite Empire. On behalf of the Galactic Council, we offer you friendship and knowledge." Jake and Lisa looked at each other, then back at the ambassador. They had no idea what the proper response should be. "Thank you," Jake said. "We didn't expect to find anyone out here. We were just following some signals we picked up near Jupiter." "Jupiter?" Security Chief Vorthak asked. "It's a planet in our system," Lisa explained. "We found this probe floating around out there. Took us about 1.5 years to figure out how it worked. Then we built our own version and followed the signals back to their source." The delegates exchanged glances. Building faster than light travel from studying alien technology was not easy. Most species needed decades or centuries to achieve such breakthroughs. Your species built interstellar travel in 18 months, Ambassador Zixthara asked. "Well, we had help," Jake said. The probe had some pretty detailed technical data. Plus, Lisa here is really good with engines. Lisa blushed slightly. Jake's being modest. He figured out the navigation system. I just handled the power plant and life support. Power plant? Asked Delegate Zarion, whose crystal body flickered with concern. Just a small fusion reactor, Lisa said casually. Nothing too complicated. We scaled down some designs from our hydrogen bombs and added some safety features. The word bombs caused several delegates to shift uncomfortably in their seats. Fusion weapons were theoretical concepts to most galactic civilizations. The idea that these primitive humans had not only built them, but were using the technology to power their spacecraft, was disturbing. Please sit, Ambassador Zixthera said, gesturing to two empty chairs. Tell us about your homeworld and your people. Jake and Lisa sat down, still looking around in wonder at the various alien species surrounding them. They had no idea they were about to reveal information that would terrify an entire galactic civilization. The questioning was about to begin. Ambassador Zixthera activated the recording system. All first contact meetings were documented for the Galactic Archives. She expected this to be a routine entry about another primitive species taking their first steps into space. Tell us about your world, she said in a friendly voice. How many of your kind live there? Jake scratched his head and looked at Lisa. What's the current population? About 8 billion. 8.2 billion last I checked, Lisa confirmed. Several delegates made choking sounds. The Keth representative's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of distress among his people. 8 billion individuals on one planet was an enormous number. Most civilized worlds maintained populations of a few hundred million at most. That seems like a lot, Delegate Morph observed, his skin shifting to a worried orange color. Yeah, we've been growing pretty fast, Jake said. Took us most of human history to reach 1 billion, then we hit 8 billion in just a couple centuries. Your species reproduces quickly, Ambassador Zixthera noted, making mental calculations. Such rapid population growth usually indicated either very short lifespans or extremely aggressive expansion tendencies. Not too bad, Lisa replied. Average human lives about 70 to 80 years now. Used to be a lot shorter, but we figured out medicine and stopped dying from diseases that used to kill us. Security Chief Vorthak leaned forward. You conquered diseases? Most of them, Jake said. We still get sick sometimes, but we've got vaccines and antibiotics and surgery. We can replace hearts, fix broken bones, even grow new organs in labs. The delegates exchanged worried glances. Medical technology advanced enough to extend lifespans and defeat diseases was not typical of species in their first century of space travel. These humans were developing much faster than normal. What about your governments? Ambassador Zixthera asked. Do you have a unified planetary authority? Jake and Lisa both laughed, which made several aliens jump. Laughter was not a universal behavior, and the sudden loud noise seemed aggressive to species that communicated through color changes or pheromones. Sorry, Lisa said, noticing the reactions. No, we don't have world government. We've got about 200 different countries, all with their own rules and leaders. 200 separate political entities? Delegate Zarion asked, his crystal eye body flickering rapidly. Give or take, Jake said. They change sometimes. Countries split up, merge together, or get taken over by their neighbors. It's been happening for thousands of years. Your species fights wars? Security Chief Vorthak asked, though he already suspected the answer. Oh yeah, Jake said casually. Pretty much constantly. Right now there are probably a dozen conflicts going on somewhere on Earth. Mostly small ones, though. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Civilized species occasionally had minor disputes, but they were resolved through negotiation and compromise. The idea of constant warfare was deeply disturbing. Small wars? Ambassador Zixthera asked carefully. Well, not like the big ones, Lisa explained. World War II killed about 70 million people, but that was back in the 1940s. These days, most wars only kill thousands or tens of thousands. Delegate Corex made a strangled sound and reached for his emergency medication. 70 million deaths in a single conflict was beyond his comprehension. His entire species numbered only 50 million individuals. You said that was a large war? Vorthak asked. The largest, Jake confirmed. Though World War I was pretty bad too. About 20 million dead in that one. We had those back to back, just 20 years apart. Your species fought 2 planetary conflicts within 20 years? Ambassador Zixathera's voice rose higher than she intended. Oh, those weren't planetary, Lisa corrected. Just involved most of the major countries. We've had lots of smaller world wars throughout history. The word lots hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Ambassador Zixathara was beginning to understand that these friendly humans might represent something far more dangerous than a typical primitive species. Tell me about your weapons, Security Chief Vorthak said, his professional instincts taking over. What kind? Jake asked. We've got all sorts. Guns, bombs, missiles, chemical weapons, biological weapons. Oh, and nuclear weapons, of course. Every delegate in the room went silent. Nuclear weapons were theoretical concepts that most species never developed. The power required to split atoms was enormous, and the destruction they caused made them impractical for any civilized purpose. You have nuclear weapons? Vorthak asked quietly. Thousands of them, Lisa said. The United States and Russia have the most, but lots of countries have them now. Even small countries like North Korea and Pakistan. You allow small political entities to possess planet-destroying weapons? Delegate Zirian's crystal body was now flashing bright red. They're not planet destroyers, Jake said. Well, I guess if you used enough of them, they could be. But mostly they're just city destroyers. The biggest ones can level an area about the size of a large metropolitan region. Why do you build such weapons? Ambassador Zixathera asked, though she dreaded the answer. Deterrence, Lisa explained. If everyone has nuclear weapons, nobody wants to use them because the other side will fire back. Mutually assured destruction, we call it. The concept was so alien to galactic thinking that several delegates required translation clarification. The idea of building weapons specifically to threaten mutual annihilation was beyond their understanding. So you build weapons designed to kill millions of your own kind to prevent wars? Morph asked, his color shifting through confused patterns. It works pretty well, Jake said. We haven't had a really big war since we invented nuclear weapons, just smaller conventional ones. Security Chief Vorthak was rapidly calculating numbers in his head. If humans had thousands of nuclear weapons in 200 countries, the potential for destruction was enormous. These creatures had weaponized their entire civilization. What other weapons do you possess? He asked. Biological weapons can kill with diseases, Lisa said. Chemical weapons use poison gas. We've got missiles that can hit targets on the other side of the planet, submarines that can stay underwater for months, aircraft that fly faster than sound. Each new revelation made the assembled delegates more uncomfortable. These humans spoke of weapons of mass destruction as casually as other species discussed. Farming techniques. Do you use these weapons often? Ambassador Zixathera asked. Not the big ones, Jake said. But we've got regular military forces fighting somewhere pretty much all the time. Keeps the soldiers trained and tests the equipment. The room fell silent again. The humans seemed friendly enough, but they came from a world of constant warfare, where weapons capable of destroying cities were considered normal deterrents. Ambassador Zixathera realized she needed much more information about these dangerous creatures before deciding how to proceed. While Jake and Lisa continued talking with Ambassador Zixathera, Security Chief Vorthak quietly activated his scanning equipment. Standard first contact protocol required a complete analysis of any new species and their technology. What he found, in the next few minutes, would change everything. The human ship's databanks were surprisingly open. Most species protected their information with complex security systems, but the lucky break seemed to broadcast everything freely. Radio signals, television programs, internet communications, and military transmissions poured out in an endless stream. Vorthak's translation computers worked overtime processing the flood of human information. What they revealed made his blood turn cold. The humans had been sending signals into space for over 100 years. Their early broadcasts showed primitive societies, but recent transmissions painted a picture of a species obsessed with violence and destruction. Their entertainment, Programs were filled with war stories, crime dramas, and scenarios where humans fought aliens from other worlds. They made movies about nuclear wars, biological plagues, and robot uprisings. Their children played games where they conquered entire galaxies and destroyed whole civilizations. But the most disturbing files were their news broadcasts and military documents. Vorthak read reports about something called the Cold War, where two human nations aimed thousands of nuclear missiles at each other for decades. He found training manuals for soldiers that described how to fight in every possible environment. Humans had developed tactics for warfare in deserts, jungles, mountains, underwater, underground, and even in space. Their weapons research files were beyond anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. Humans had built bombs that could kill everything in a city but leave the building standing. They had created diseases that could wipe out entire species. They had designed robots that could hunt and kill without human control. Most terrifying of all, humans seemed to think this was normal. Vorthak sent an urgent message to Ambassador Zixthara's private communication device. She glanced at the data, and her 6 arms trembled slightly. "Tell us about your planet," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "What is your world like?" "Earth is pretty tough," Jake said. "We've got deserts where the temperature hits 50 degrees, ice caps where it drops to -60. Some places get hit by hurricanes with winds over 200 kilometers per hour. Your species lives in such extreme conditions," Delegate Morph asked, his skin turning pale yellow. "We live everywhere," Lisa said proudly. "Antarctica, the Sahara, desert, high up in the mountains where there's barely any air. We've built cities in places that flood every year and on islands that get hit by earthquakes." Delegate Zarian's crystal body flickered rapidly. Most species could only survive within narrow environmental ranges. The idea of creatures living in such varied and dangerous conditions suggested they were incredibly adaptable and tough. "We've got people living underwater for months at a time," Jake added. "Submarines, oil rigs, research stations. Some humans spend their whole careers under the ocean." "And in space," Lisa said. "We've had people living on space stations for over a year at a time. We're planning to build permanent bases on the Moon and Mars." Security Chief Vorthak received another data packet from his computers. This one analyzed human physical capabilities, based on their broadcasts. The results were alarming. Humans were persistence predators. They could run for hours without stopping, chase prey across vast distances, and function on very little sleep. Their reaction times were faster than most galactic species. Their muscle density was twice the galactic average. Their bodies produced adrenaline, a chemical that made them stronger and faster during dangerous situations. The analysis compared humans to known predator species throughout the galaxy. The results classified humans as apex predators from what the computer termed a death world. "What do humans do for entertainment?" Ambassador Zixthara asked, dreading the answer. "Sports mostly," Jake said. "Football, hockey, boxing, racing." "Boxing?" Delegate Corex asked. "Two people get in a ring and hit each other until one of them can't continue," Lisa explained. "It's really popular." Several delegates made distressed sounds. The idea of inflicting violence for entertainment was barbaric by galactic standards. "Racing involves vehicles moving at high speed," Jake continued. "Sometimes the drivers crash and get hurt, but that's part of the excitement." "You enjoy watching your kind suffer injury?" Vorthak asked. "Well, we don't want anyone to get hurt," Lisa said. "But danger makes it more interesting. Same with mountain climbing, skydiving, deep-sea diving. The risk is what makes it fun." Ambassador Zixthara received another message from her analysis team. Human recreational activities included jumping out of aircraft, climbing mountains in deadly weather, racing vehicles at speeds that would be fatal in a crash, and swimming with dangerous predators for fun. "Some humans climb mountains over 8,000 meters high," Jake said. "The air is so thin up there you need oxygen tanks to breathe. People die doing it pretty regularly, but there's always a line of climbers waiting to try." "Your species seeks out deadly situations voluntarily?" Morph asked, his colors shifting through confused patterns. "Makes you feel alive," Lisa said with a smile. "Nothing like a little danger to get the blood pumping." The phrase made Vorthak's analysis computers flag another concern. Human blood contained high levels of iron and clotted quickly to seal wounds. This suggested a species adapted to frequent injury and blood loss. More data arrived about human settlements. They had built cities directly on earthquake fault lines, in the paths of regular hurricanes, and next to active volcanoes. When disasters struck, they rebuilt in the same dangerous locations. Your species rebuilds in areas of natural disaster? Delegate Zirion asked. Sure, Jake said. San Francisco gets earthquakes, but it's a great place to live. New Orleans floods, but people love it there. We just build stronger and try to be ready for the next disaster. Ambassador Zixithara was beginning to understand the full scope of what they were dealing with. Humans were not just another primitive species learning about space travel. They were apex predators from a death world who had weaponized their entire civilization and considered constant danger to be entertainment. The worst part was that Jake and Lisa seemed genuinely friendly. They were not threatening anyone or trying to intimidate the council. They were simply describing their normal lives, completely unaware that everything they said sounded terrifying to civilized galactic society. Vorthak sent one final message to the ambassador. His analysis was complete, and the results were clear. Humanity represented the most dangerous species ever encountered by the Galactic Council. They were predators, survivors, and warriors who had turned violence into both science and art. Ambassador Zixithara realized that this routine first contact meeting had become something much more serious. The galaxy might never be safe again. The conversation continued, but now every word from the humans made the alien delegates more nervous. Ambassador Zixithara tried to keep her voice calm while her mind raced with the implications of what she was learning. Tell us about human law and justice, she said, hoping this topic might be less disturbing. Jake and Lisa looked at each other and shrugged. It depends on where you live, Lisa said. Different countries have different laws. In some places, if you kill someone, they execute you, Jake added casually. Electric chair, lethal injection, hanging. Other places just lock you up for life. Delegate Corex dropped his water container. The crash echoed through the chamber. Your species kills criminals? Well, yeah, Lisa said, looking confused by the reaction. I mean, not for small crimes. Just for murder, sometimes treason or really bad stuff. The concept of execution was so alien to galactic civilization that several delegates needed medical attention. Most species had eliminated violence from their societies thousands of years ago. The idea of government-sanctioned killing was beyond their understanding. What about your prisons? Security Chief Vorthak asked, though he already knew the answer. Would be disturbing. Pretty rough places, Jake said. We lock people in small cells, sometimes for decades. Some prisons are so dangerous that inmates fight each other regularly. Gang violence, riots, that sort of thing. Ambassador Zixithara felt sick. Galactic rehabilitation centers were comfortable places designed to help criminals become productive citizens. Human prisons sounded like torture facilities. Your criminals engage in combat while imprisoned? Delegate Zirion asked, his crystal body flickering with distress. It happens, Lisa said. Prison guards try to stop it, but there are always fights over territory, resources, or just because someone looked at someone wrong. More data arrived on Vorthak's scanner. Human legal systems included something called trial by combat in their history, where people fought to determine guilt or innocence. Even their modern sports were derived from combat training. Their children played games that simulated warfare and violence. What do human children learn in school? Ambassador Zixithara asked, hoping for something normal. Reading, writing, math, Jake said. History, science, physical education. Physical education involves combat training? Vorthak asked. Not combat exactly, Lisa said. More like athletics, running, jumping, team sports. Though some schools teach wrestling or martial arts. Martial arts? Fighting techniques, Jake explained. Karate, judo, boxing teaches discipline and self-defense. The delegates exchanged horrified glances. Human children were trained in combat techniques as part of their basic education. No wonder they grew up to be such dangerous creatures. Human history must be fascinating, Ambassador Zixithara said, though she suspected it would be a catalog of horrors. Pretty violent, Lisa admitted. Lots of wars, conquests, revolutions. We study famous battles, military strategies, great generals. Your young learn about warfare in school? Delegate Morph asked, his skin turning deep red with alarm. Sure, Jake said. World War II, the Civil War, the Napoleonic Wars. Important stuff to understand how we got where we are today. Vorthak's computers had finished analyzing human historical records. The results were terrifying. Humans had been fighting organized wars for over 5,000 years. They had developed increasingly sophisticated ways to kill each other, from simple weapons to complex military strategies that involved millions of soldiers. Their greatest historical figures were often military leaders. They built monuments to honor their warriors and celebrated victories in battle. Their national holidays commemorated wars and the soldiers who died fighting them. Do humans have any peaceful traditions? Ambassador Zixathera asked desperately. Oh, sure, Lisa said. We have art, music, literature, sports bring people together. We celebrate holidays with our families. This seemed promising until Jake added, though a lot of our art is about war, too. Paintings of battles, songs about soldiers, books about conflicts. Even our peace movements usually start because people are tired of fighting. What about your religions? Delegate Zerion asked. Surely they promote harmony. Most of them do, Jake said. Though we've fought plenty of religious wars, too. The Crusades, the 30 Years' War, conflicts in the Middle East. People get pretty worked up about their beliefs. The revelation that humans fought wars over religious differences was the final straw for several delegates. Delegate Morph's skin turned completely black and he stopped moving. Corex began hyperventilating and needed emergency oxygen. Even the usually calm Zerion was flashing bright red warning colors. Your ship mentioned safety precautions, Security Chief Vorthak said, changing the subject to something he hoped would be less disturbing. What safety equipment do you carry? Standard stuff, Lisa said. Emergency oxygen, radiation detectors, fire suppression system. And the self-destruct device, Jake added helpfully. Every alien in the room froze. Self-destruct device? Vorthak asked quietly. Sure, Jake said. If something goes really wrong with the reactor, we can detonate the whole ship rather than let it blow up on its own. Much safer that way. You carry explosives capable of destroying your vessel? Ambassador Zixathera asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Has to be pretty powerful, Lisa explained. The fusion reactor has a lot of energy stored up. If it goes critical, the explosion could take out anything nearby. Better to control the detonation. The implications hit the room like a shockwave. These humans had traveled to a diplomatic meeting carrying what amounted to a massive bomb. Their ship contained enough explosive power to destroy the entire space station, and they considered this a normal safety feature. How much explosive power? Vorthak asked, though he was afraid to hear the answer. Jake thought for a moment. Hard to say exactly. Probably enough to make a crater about 5 kilometers across if we were on a planet's surface. Several delegates fainted. Others began evacuating toward the emergency exits. Ambassador Zixathera realized that they were all sitting next to what humans casually described as a weapon of mass destruction. You brought a planet-killing device to a peace conference? She asked. Planet-killing? Lisa looked confused. No, it would just make a really big hole. You'd need hundreds of our reactors to actually damage a whole planet. The fact that humans had calculated how many of their safety devices would be needed to destroy a planet was not reassuring. Ambassador Zixathera began to understand that they were dealing with a species that thought about mass destruction as casually as other civilizations considered agricultural techniques. Emergency alarms began sounding throughout the station. Security teams moved into position around the docking bay where the human ship was berthed. Medical teams prepared to treat delegates who had collapsed from shock. Jake and Lisa looked around in confusion as chaos erupted in the meeting chamber. They had no idea that their friendly conversation about human civilization had just revealed them to be the most terrifying species the galaxy had ever encountered. Did we say something wrong? Lisa asked innocently. as armed security guards surrounded them. Security Chief Vorthak quickly escorted Jake and Lisa to what he told them was a comfortable guest suite. In reality, it was the station's maximum security containment facility, designed to hold the most dangerous criminals in the galaxy. Force fields hummed invisibly around the walls, and sensors monitored every breath the humans took. "This is nice," Jake said, looking around the spacious room with its soft furniture and large windows showing space outside. "Thanks for the hospitality. We will bring you food shortly," Vorthak said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Please make yourselves comfortable while the council discusses trade agreements." As soon as the door sealed shut, Vorthak ran to the emergency meeting chamber where the Galactic Council was gathering in crisis session. Half the delegates were still receiving medical treatment for shock and panic attacks. Ambassador Zix Thara called the meeting to order with all 6 arms shaking. "We face the greatest threat in galactic history," she announced. "These humans represent a danger we have never encountered before." "They seem friendly enough," Delegate Morph said weakly, his skin still pale from stress. "That makes them more dangerous," Security Chief Vorthak replied. He activated the main display screen. "My analysis is complete. Humans are apex predators from a death world. They have weaponized their entire civilization and consider violence to be normal behavior." The screen showed charts and graphs comparing humans to known species throughout the galaxy. Every measurement was terrifying. Human physical capabilities, learning speed, population growth, and technological development all exceeded normal parameters by huge margins. "They reverse-engineered our technology in 18 months, Vorthak continued. "Most species need centuries to achieve similar progress. They built interstellar travel using weapons technology. Their ship carries enough explosive power to destroy this entire station." "What about their peaceful intentions?" asked Delegate Zarian, his crystal body flickering hopefully. "They have no concept of peace as we understand it," Ambassador Zix Thara said. "Their idea of peaceful coexistence involves threatening mutual destruction with planet-killing weapons. They fight constant wars and consider this normal." The delegates reviewed the human data files in horrified silence. Every aspect of human civilization seemed designed for conflict and destruction. Their entertainment glorified violence. Their children learned combat techniques in school. Their greatest heroes were military leaders who killed thousands of enemies. 8 billion of these creatures, whispered Delegate Corex, all living on one planet, with thousands of nuclear weapons, added Morph, and they are expanding into space, Vorthak said grimly. They plan to colonize other worlds. Their population growth rate means they will spread rapidly throughout the galaxy. The mathematical projections were clear. If humans continued developing at their current pace, they would become the dominant species in the galaxy within a few centuries. Their combination of rapid learning, aggressive expansion, and weapons technology made them unstoppable. Ambassador Zix Thara stood before the assembled delegates. We must decide how to handle this threat immediately. I see 3 options, she activated a holographic display showing the human solar system. First option, immediate quarantine. We surround their system with automated defense platforms and prevent any human expansion beyond their home world. Several delegates nodded. Quarantine had worked with other dangerous species in the past. Second option, preemptive strike. We destroy human civilization before they develop advanced space technology. The room fell silent. The Galactic Council had never authorized genocide, but these were extreme circumstances. Third option, we attempt peaceful coexistence and hope. They do not realize how dangerous they are. What do you recommend? Asked Delegate Zarian. Ambassador Zixathera looked at the data one more time. Quarantine is our best choice. We tell the humans we want to establish friendly relations while secretly building defenses around their system. We monitor their development and prepare for the day when containment fails. The vote was unanimous. Every delegate agreed that humanity must be contained at all costs. What about the 2 humans here? Vorthak asked. We send them home with gifts and promises of future cooperation. They must not suspect our true intentions. Plans began immediately. The galaxy's most advanced military minds would design containment systems specifically for humans. Weapons would be developed that could stop human technology. Defense platforms would be built in secret around the human solar system. 2 hours later, Security Chief Vorthak returned to the containment facility with a smile he hoped looked genuine. The Council has reached a decision, he told Jake and Lisa. We would be honored to establish formal relations with humanity. Jake and Lisa looked at each other with excitement. Really? That's fantastic, Lisa said. Vorthak presented them with a small device. This is a communication beacon. It will allow direct contact between Earth and the Galactic Council. We also have some gifts for your people. The gifts included basic medical, technology, improved electronics, and energy systems that would help human civilization develop more efficiently. What Jake and Lisa did not know was that every gift contained hidden monitoring devices and subtle limitations designed to slow human progress. We look forward to many years of friendship, Ambassador Zixthera said as she escorted them to their ship. This is the best day of my life, Jake said as they prepared to leave. Wait until everyone on Earth hears about this. As the lucky break jumped to hyperspace, emergency construction began throughout the galaxy. Defense platforms, weapon systems, and monitoring stations were rushed into production. The largest military buildup in galactic history started within hours of the humans' departure. Ambassador Zixthera stood in her office watching the human ship disappear into the distance. On her desk sat a classified file marked Project Nightwatch, the galaxy's plan to defend against humanity. She activated her personal recorder and began the most important message of her career. Personal log, Ambassador Zixthera. Today, we encountered the species called humans. They appear to be friendly, curious, and eager for peaceful contact. They seem genuinely excited about joining galactic civilization. She paused, looking out at the stars where human ships might soon travel. We have decided to build weapons designed to kill them all. Defense systems that can destroy their entire species. We pray we never have to use these weapons, but we are not certain they will be enough. She turned off the recorder and began reviewing construction plans for the anti-human defense network. We told them we wanted to be friends, she whispered to herself. We meant it, but we also know that friendship with apex predators never lasts forever. In the distance, Jake and Lisa were heading home to Earth, excited to share news of their successful first contact with alien civilizations. They had no idea they had just terrified an entire galaxy into preparing for war against humanity. The age of human expansion was about to begin, and the galaxy was already trying to figure out how to stop it.